Hello and welcome to the inaugural edition of the D-Vine, your source for Desert Vista Student Services updates. I thought I'd take a few minutes, since we are not having a staff meeting this week, to get out some basic updates related to the assigned advising and some of the changes that have happened since we last spoke. So before I do that, I do want to thank everybody for your patience and all your effort that you've shown in trying to adapt to this new model of service. It has been a lot like a roller coaster. It will continue to be that way, especially since we are in peak right now. But your efforts are noticed and appreciated with all the work you're doing to help implement this new service model and improve the way we handle and work with our students. So let's take a minute, and I thought it's important to get a little bit of perspective and see where we stand at this point, since a lot of the stuff that we spoke about at our last meeting, as we try to roll it out, different things come up and we've had to adapt, and so some changes have been made, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to bring up some of these changes and provide some updates. So three of the areas that I want to talk about really quickly are the welcome desk, financial aid, and self-help, because from what we had on paper when we started talking about this pilot, there have been some things that are new, some things that have changed, and I want to make sure everybody is clear on those changes. So to use an analogy, what's happening up at the welcome desk is a lot like what happens when kids play this funnel ball game. The kids throw the ball up into the funnel ball, it makes its way down, and eventually comes out one of these chutes. When a student comes up to the welcome desk and presents their issue to the staff member, what should be happening, a lot like, as the ball makes its way through this funnel, as the staff member asks probing questions, they should be getting closer and closer to an understanding of what type of service the student needs. Are they going to go to Express? Are they going to go to self-help? Do they need to speak with somebody in financial aid? Or do they need to meet with an advisor? So in a very simplistic way, this image of the funnel ball game is showing what should be happening when a student is triaged up at the front counter at the welcome desk. Now, in the past, the primary transactions that were being captured were financial aid and advising, and the advising category, because these are the categories that students would either self-refer themselves to, or they were being entered into those categories to get a service ticket in CUNAMI. None of the other things that we did at the welcome desk, registration, adding, dropping, and a lot of the things that were going on at the Express were being captured in CUNAMI, so we were not getting credit for those transactions or those services that we were providing. The good thing about the model that as we have it now is, having freed the staff member at the welcome desk from having to do quick transactions like adding and dropping classes, changing residency, accepting a verification of lawful presence form, all of those things are now being routed to another area or other areas. That frees the welcome desk staff member to capture the data in CUNAMI. One of the things that makes this possible that we now have is the receipt printer that is up at the front. So if you have not had a shift up at the welcome desk, anytime you enter somebody in CUNAMI for a service, they are going to get a ticket printed for them. And this is significant. No other campus has this functionality. Everybody else uses the kiosk for students to basically refer themselves to service as we were using it before, and that's not always the ideal way to do it, because students may not know the correct area to refer themselves to. So this receipt printer makes it possible for us to enter students in the correct area of service, so we have control over that part of the triaging. And the other thing is, it gives the students a place to wait while they're passing the time between when they're given the ticket and when somebody is able to serve them. So once they have the ticket, they're free to go sit anywhere in the center and wait until their service number is called. The other thing that it does is it's going to enable us to capture data more easily. One of the things that Dr. Phillips is really stressing is the importance of being able to capture and monitor data, and this will by entering every single transaction that comes through the welcome desk, where we refer somebody to a service, we're going to be able to capture our data more easily. And so this is just a sample, but the goal will be that eventually each month we will be able to get a printout from Qnami of our service numbers and see where might we need to shift more people in our center to assist with different things, and where there are opportunities to possibly scale back some of our staffing. So these are all things that our service numbers will help us provide us with. So some important there were some suggestions made recently about how the welcome desk can function more efficiently, and I think this is a good point to bring those up because they are very good suggestions. One of them is, one of the key things, you want to think of whoever's working up at that welcome desk in a realistic way is like the quarterback for a football team. You are the person that's taking in everything that's happening and making a decision on the spot. And so what your probing questions should do is help you efficiently route students. We want to ask the right questions to really narrow in on what does the student need. Do they need to meet with an advisor? Is this something that can be taken care of out of Express? Can the student do most of this on self-help with a little bit of assistance? That's where the importance of asking the right probing questions comes in, particularly with financial aid transactions. There are some level 1 and 2 transactions that we can assist with, and there are some that are going to need to be referred to a financial aid staff member, and that's where the importance of asking good probing questions is going to come in for whoever is staffing the welcome desk. The other thing is to always ask for a picture ID. If you are going to refer the student to any service area, self-help, express, advising, or financial aid, that student should have a picture ID. One of the problems that we've noticed is sometimes students are waiting a long time in the queue, for example, for a financial aid service, and then when they get to when their number is finally called and they go to sit with a financial aid staff member, they're asked to present their picture ID and they don't have it. And so, of course, the staff member cannot assist them, and the student has waited 20 minutes or however long for no reason. So one of the things we want to get all welcome desk staff member into the habit of doing is, if you refer somebody to any area of service and print them a ticket, we need to be sure that they do have a picture ID for the staff member who's going to assist them. The other thing is the importance of making notes in Qnami. Notes are required for all transactions. So regardless of what service area you're going to route them to, advising, express, financial aid, self-help, the welcome desk staff members should be entering notes in Qnami so that the person who is going to assist them has an idea of what they need before they even get there, as they're kind of preparing themselves for the next student that they're going to meet with. This is particularly important for financial aid, and I'll explain why in just a minute. Okay, so the other area, as you know, we talked about how we would be able to assist financial aid during peak, and Fernando and I met with Elvia, Tara, and Norma to discuss, how we as the Student Services Center staff can assist financial aid with their load during peak, and we came up with some staff station protocol for financial aid and how things will run there during peak and even during the regular semester. So if you remember, we had come up with some suggestions. I put out a survey on how we might assist financial aid during peak, and the majority of staff said that financial aid should provide, at least 2 people out in the staff stations to assist during peak, and that we would assist with the overflow. Having had the discussion with Tara and Elvia and Norma, it was determined that that is it's not the ideal way to do things, because financial aid is under strict, they're under a lot of pressure to get things done right and very quickly, and so the more hands that are touching a student's transactions, the more hands a transaction goes through, there's more possibility for error. So long story short, financial aid will be providing staff members to do all of the level 3 and 4 services, and we are not going to be asked to assist with helping remove students from their queue when they have an overflow. So here are some of the basic staff station protocols that were recommended from that meeting. First of all, financial aid will staff the station number 2 with an advanced specialist, Cynthia, throughout the day during peak, and then during lunch that station will be covered by the specialist, either NT or Amanda. If there are times when none of those 3 are available, Elvia has agreed to provide coverage so that somebody will be there at station 2 representing financial aid. As I said before, the specialists cannot always be out on the floor because they have stuff that they need to be working on, student files to complete, and they have to do those as quickly as possible. They've been given a completion date, a target completion date of 3 business days of finishing a file from the date that they could document receipt of receiving those files. So our way of helping financial aid is during the busy time. Elvia has agreed that she's going to make sure that there's enough assistance in the center to support whatever staffing is in place there. She is going to provide it. We do not have to provide anybody to help out with the financial aid station. The way that we can help, Elvia is going to be monitoring, much like in a flight tower, you monitor the flights coming in and out. When she is in her office, she's going to be watching what's coming up in QNAMI for financial aid. That's where the importance of making good notes in QNAMI comes in, because if she can see that there are 4 people in QNAMI, it's possible that 1 or 2 of those she might be able to pull out and assist in her office. And so the importance of putting good notes in QNAMI really has an effect on how we can assist financial aid to do what they need to do, given the few staff members they can provide out at the floor at any given time. The other thing that we can do is to make sure that we set expectations for the students. So in other words, if there's 1 person out on the desk and you notice that there are 4 people in the queue and several of them have been waiting for 20 minutes, let the student know at that point, just to let you know it looks like there's going to be a half-hour wait time at this point. It helps that the student knows in advance, roughly how long they might be waiting to be served. Just setting those expectations early and at the welcome desk does a lot to alleviate some of the frustration and irritation students might experience from having to wait for a while to get to be served. So that's another way we can help. And finally, again, the importance of asking for picture ID. So 3 ways to summarize that we can really help assist with financial aid, even though we are not going to be pulling students from their queue, is put notes in QNAMI, make sure we ask for picture ID up at the front, and set expectations so that the student is aware of how long they're going to be waiting. And again, probing questions to make sure that they really, if they're going to be waiting for 30 minutes, they really did need to be in the financial aid queue, and it wasn't something that a level 1 or 2 question that one of our staff members could have addressed 20 minutes earlier. Okay. So the final area that I want to talk about is self-help. This seems to be the area where most of the questions are coming in, and we had a really good suggestion that, you know, possibly one of the things that is designated as a self-help service was doing a manual push for applications, and you know, the staff member suggested that we switch that to Express. I think that's a good idea, so likely in the next few days we'll be sending out a revised triage chart that shows the manual push process will now become a function of the Express station rather than self-help. So this is just another example of why it's important for everybody, you know, make your suggestions. If you see things that aren't working, let us know, and we will take those into consideration, and if it's a good idea, then we will implement it. In this case, it was a good idea, so we will be doing that. Another thing is we are now, Oscar and I have been working to use the iPads a lot at the self-help center. So another staff member brought up, you know, what do we do when there isn't a space for somebody at self-help? In other words, we have, you know, one person taking up station 2 for financial aid, we have somebody at Express, somebody at self-help, and 4 people are scheduled for desk. Well, there physically isn't enough space for everybody, you know, to have a station at that point. So that's where this idea of using the iPad came up. Long story short, what I'm going to try to do is never schedule more than 3 people at desk, and that will give everybody a station to work at. There will be 3 people at desk max, 1 for Express, 1 for self-help, and 1 for financial aid. So that accounts for all 6 stations. If that's not possible and we really do need 4 people on desk, or if you prefer to, you know, be up and mobile when you're doing your self-help shift, you can use an iPad. Qnami is available on the iPad. You can do everything with it that you do on your desktop. You can even print a service ticket from Qnami from your iPad. So basically, let's say you're working with a student and you notice that you know, you're talking to them, they're trying to go over their financial aid flags, and something comes up that you know is a level 3 or 4 service, and you need to, you know, get them in with a financial aid specialist. Or perhaps, you know, after talking with them, it becomes clear that the student has no idea, you know, what classes to take. They don't even know what program they should be in, and they really need to meet with an advisor. So you want to get them to meet with an advisor. You can switch tracks at that point. At that point, they're sitting in self-help. You can enter them in Qnami for whatever service they need, advisor, financial aid. Print the ticket. It will, you know, just click on Q. It will print up at the welcome desk, and then the student can wait to be called. All of that can be done from the iPad. So there really isn't a need to be sitting at a station if you prefer to be up and mobile. Okay, so that concludes our updates for this particular issue of Divine. I'm going to be sending out a survey very soon that we'll see, just check for understanding and make sure that we're all on the same page with some of the things that were addressed in the update. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and have a good day.